Opening with the king's pawn controls the center and opens up the light-squared bishop and queen, often leading to sharp games. e5 is a common response that establishes a presence in the center, controls d4, and opens up the queen and dark-squared bishop. Knight f3 develops the knight toward the center, attacks the e5 pawn, and prepares to castle. Knight c6 develops the knight toward the center, protects the pawn on e5, and eyes the d4 square. The Ruy-Lopez opening develops the bishop to immediately attack the knight on c6, the lone defender of the e5 pawn. Knight f6 develops the knight and attacks the undefended e4 pawn. Castling gets the king out of the center and activates the rook. Knight takes e4, captures the e4 pawn, and places the knight in the center of the board where it controls many important squares. d4 opens up the center, attacks the e5 pawn, and allows the dark-squared bishop to develop. Knight d6 retreats the knight to a central square where it attacks the bishop on b5. Bishop takes c6, captures the knight and forces black to double the c-pawns. D takes c6, captures the bishop, opens up the d-file, and allows the light-squared bishop to develop. D takes e5, captures the e5 pawn, attacks the knight on d6, and controls the f6 square. Knight f5 moves the knight to an active square, where it controls d4. Queen takes d8 check trades queens and stops black from castling. King takes d8 recaptures the queen. This creates luft for the king, providing it an escape square. This is a fair move. Developing the knight and increasing influence in the center. Moving from its starting spot, the bishop gets involved in the game. This threatens to win a rook through a fork. This prevents the opponent from being able to win a rook through a fork. This threatens to win material by checking the king away from its defense. Taking that pawn wins material after the follow-up trades are made. This forces the opponent to isolate a pawn. Recaptures. White's pieces move to a square with greater activity and control. This defends the attacked pawn. This threatens to win a pawn through a discovered attack. This stops the opponent from being able to win a pawn through a discovered attack. The rook is now on an open file, which helps control squares across the board. Right on target. This immobilizes the knight by pinning it to the king. This is the only good move. This defends a pawn that was under attack and had no defenders. Moving the bishop gives white more flexibility in the middle game. Very precise. White activates the last piece, bringing all pieces into play. This wins time by threatening a rook and forcing it to move away. This move puts the rook on a safer square. That's an unfortunate error. There were worse moves, but also something much better. This allows the knight to control more squares. This threatens to eventually win a pawn. The piece finds a new active square. This makes a passed pawn. This threatens to eventually win a pawn. This is the only move that works. The rooks can see each other now, allowing them to provide mutual defense. This maintains the balance in material with a good trade. This is the strongest option. Now black can't stop white from winning a pawn if they make the right moves. This is the only good move. Takes back. Right on target. This reveals a check. This evades the check from the rook. This threatens to win a bishop by adding pressure to a pinned piece. This threatens to win material through a tactic. This threatens to win a bishop by adding pressure to a pinned piece. This allows the opponent to win a bishop by adding pressure to a pinned piece. Threatening that pinned piece is going to win a bishop. Very precise. This captures a free bishop. Recaptures. This gives away a free pawn. This misses an opportunity to eventually win a pawn. That pawn was free for the taking. This is not the right idea. This stops the opponent from being able to tactically win a pawn. There were worse moves, but also something much better. This threatens to win material through a fork. This stops the opponent from being able to win a rook through a fork. This threatens to tactically win a rook. This overlooks a better way to win a tempo by threatening a knight. This is the only move that works. This is an equal trade. Takes back. This overlooks a better way to move a knight to safety. This allows the opponent to kick a knight. This kicks a knight. That's not a mistake, but it's not the best move either. This activates a rook by getting it to the 7th rank and also restricts the king. This mobilizes the knight, allowing it to control more of the board. This passed pawn is a strong asset for black. One of the best moves. That's fine. This is the strongest option. This evades the check from the rook. Right on target. This protects an underdefended pawn that is under attack. Very precise. This defends the attacked pawn. This wins a tempo by threatening a rook and forcing it to move away. This moves the rook to safety. This is the strongest option. This threatens to capture a knight and win material after the follow-on trades. This move puts the knight on a safer square. Right on target. Very precise. This is a fair move. This is the strongest option. Right on target. This threatens to tactically win a pawn. This stops the opponent from being able to win a knight by adding pressure to a pinned piece. This kicks a rook. This threatens to win material through a tactic. This stops the opponent from being able to win material through a tactic. This threatens to win material through a fork. This blocks an attack on a pawn. This is the way to win a pawn. This is the only good move. The pawn is now adequately defended. Recaptures. Very precise. This evades the check from the rook. This permits the opponent to use a rook to counter a passed pawn. This puts the rook behind the other player's passed pawn. This is the only move that works. This steps away from the checking rook. This threatens to win material through a tactic. This is the only good move. This defends a pawn that was under attack and had no defenders. This offers to exchange pieces of equal value. This overlooks a better way to move a rook to safety. This is the strongest option. The game was close to balanced, but now black is worse. This moves the knight to safety. Black was worse off, but now they are in a losing position. This is the only move that works. Pushing a passed pawn. Right on target. This evades the check from the rook. The passed pawn moves towards its goal. That's not a mistake, but it's not the best move either. Pushing a passed pawn. This is not the right idea. Very precise. A very strong play. The passed pawn moves towards its goal. This creates a pawn chain, linked pawns that form a strong structure. This is the strongest option. Right on target. Very precise. This is the strongest option. This blocks the check from an opposing rook. This moves the rook to safety. This is the only good move. This defends the attacked pawn. A solid choice. This evades the check from the rook. One of the best moves. Right on target. A very strong play. Pushing a passed pawn. The passed pawn moves towards its goal. This wins a pawn. This steps away from the checking knight. That was a free pawn. This steps away from the checking rook. Very precise.